Everybody who's anybody in the 305 likes to spend at least some of their millions in the Brickell neighborhood of Miami. Yet when they do, they likely don't know that they're walking in the gilded footsteps of Miami's original power couple. That's right, folks. Before there were mega yachts and sky-high condos, there was William and Mary Brickell, the dynamic duo who laid the very foundations of this glittering metropolis. And while others saw swampland, the Brickels saw potential, and thus their family's saga isn't just history. It's the blueprint for luxury and success in the heart of southern Florida. With that said, grab your finest Cuban espresso and join us as we dive into the extraordinary story of the Brickell family, the name that built Miami. When you take a look around the bustling streets of Miami, you will notice that virtually every other landmark holds the name Brickell above it. Brickell Avenue, for instance, is today known as Miami's financial district. And as it is lined with high-rise buildings filled with modern offices, luxury condos and upscale hotels, it's truly the pinnacle of winning big in the 305. Often referred to as Miami's Manhattan, Brickell Avenue is a symbol that displays the monumental economic might of Miami, as well as its ability to play in the expansive game of global finance. Elsewhere, you will see the influence of the Brickell family at Brickell Key, a residential area so illustrious that it's situated on its own private island, away from the poor stench of the everyday man. Filled from end to end with high-rise condos, architecturally imaginative offices, and of course, the infamous Mandarin Oriental Hotel, Brickell Key is the epitome of exclusivity and is a pure representation of 1% living. And its allure is so strong, in fact, that every year it attracts residents from every corner of the globe and investors with only the deepest of pockets. Furthermore, if you turn back your attention to Miami's mainland, you'll be greeted by Mary Brickell Village, a bustling shopping and entertainment hub that serves as the beating heart of Miami's retail sector. Yet Brickell Village is not just a place to grab a bite to eat or buy into the latest fashion trends. It's a symbol of what modern Miami has become, a vibrant and welcoming city with a warm atmosphere that simply never sleeps. And how can we talk about Miami's captivating vibrancy without mentioning Brickell City Center? Though only a few city blocks in size, the Brickell City Center is the place to go in Miami to experience its affluence, its fine dining, and of course, its landmarks such as the East Miami Hotel. Built through innovative modern architecture and a certain je ne sais quoi that you can't find in other American cities, Brickell City Center is nothing short of a landmark of urban development and luxury lifestyle in Miami. Therefore, as you can see, the Brickell family's name is as important to Miami as its infrastructure and economy. But how did this family gain a foothold in the capital of Latin America? To find our answer, let's flip over to the next chapter. Though born in Ohio, the protagonist of our story and the founding member of the family, William Brickell, is actually English and Norman in origin. And the name Brickell is likely habitational, referring to one of the many areas called Brickville in 19th century Normandy. William Brickell, however, never witnessed life on the other side of the pond. Instead, he was born in Steubenville, Ohio, on the 22nd of May, 1825. Though not much is known of William's early life, it's clear that he quickly developed a burning entrepreneurial spirit, which he would fuel through childhood adventures and unforgettable experiences. He did receive an education, which was becoming standard in America in the mid-1800s. However, like so many great entrepreneurs, academic study didn't inspire William. The pursuit of financial freedom did, and Brickell chose to pursue entrepreneurial rather than academic endeavors. This lust for wealth eventually led William to join California's notorious gold rush, which promised fortune and opportunity to anyone disciplined enough to dig for it. However, when he arrived in California, Brickell soon realized that the gold rush was not the literal gold mine it was built up to be. And though he tried to unveil wealth from the earth, his efforts did not transpire into any meaningful financial reward. Brickell had tried, and he had failed. To an average man, a failure like this would set him on a new path, one of a conventional career and a more certain, stable income. However, William Brickell wasn't your average man, and though he didn't prosper financially from his Californian crusade, his mind and mentality became richer in experience, not to mention significantly more resilient. Armed with new life experience, he decided to move to Australia in the 1860s. This move was likely influenced by the discovery of gold at Ballarat, Victoria, in 1851, which sparked another gold rush, with hundreds of hungry miners seeking fortune each week for the best part of 40 years. However, Brickell once again struggled to find fortune hidden underneath the Earth's crust. Thus, he instead turned his attention to more tried and tested methods of business, trade and commerce. He began by opening a general wares store, selling anything to anyone who had money to spend. Later, he accumulated enough capital to co-own a hotel in Albury, and eventually he secured a contract to build the first bridge across the Murray River in 1861. The contract proved extremely successful, and William profited £10,000 from the endeavour. That's $3 million by today's standards. During his time in Australia, William also made great strides in his personal life, meeting his future wife and business partner, Mary Brickell. Reports differ on how the two met, but it's likely that Mary worked in the hotel William owned, and the two hit it off from there. Like Brickell, Mary Brickell was originally from England and had migrated to Australia some years prior, likely in a similar pursuit of greater economic opportunity. The two shared a love both for business and the world, and throughout the 1850s they travelled the world together, using the riches that Brickell had earned in years prior. Then, in the late 1860s, high on the ecstasy of infatuation, the two decided to tie the knot and get married, leading to a new adventure in the next chapter of their lives. With marriage to Mary, William Brickell could begin to solidify his family name with children. The two would have their first child shortly after getting married. One child became two, and by the 1870s, Mary had given birth to 6 children. And these children would later play a crucial role in the development of the Brickell Empire. However, the second generation of the Brickell Empire would not flourish in Australia, as William had other plans for his family. You see, Australia was not Brickell's final destination. Tather, it was just one stop along an illustrious plan of financial domination. The move to Australia allowed William to build his wealth and meet the love of his life. But as the 1860s drew to a close, he felt that the country had offered all that it could. He was ready to head home. However, he did not want to go back to Ohio. Brickell had gotten used to the heat of Australia, which was far more attractive than Ohio's long, cold and harsh winters. Therefore, he set his eyes on different shores, those of Miami. And so, in 1871, William, Mary and their 6 children set sail, reaching Miami shortly thereafter. Immediately, William deployed his financial resources, which were at this point significant, to purchase 640 acres of land on the south side of the Miami River. He then set up a trading point, the first of many businesses to come. This post became known as Brickell Point to those in the region and quickly became a key trading point in the local area. And William developed a particularly strong relationship with the local Indian people. He would purchase alligator hides, coontie roots and deer skins from them, while they purchased the sewing machines, beads and other wares that lined Brickell Point's shelves. The popularity of Brickell Point continued to boom in the following years, not only because of the variety of wares that were sold, but also because of its location. Brickell Point was in a tranquil and secluded area along the Miami River and provided many inhabitants with a much-needed break from the everyday hustle and bustle of inner city life. This geographic, unique selling point inspired William to later remove the original trading point and replace it with 2 cottages that hugged the Miami River. Isolated and peaceful, they became a lucrative endeavour for the Brickels, attracting traders from all over the eastern coast. Brickell Point also became a key catalyst for Miami's long-term growth. You see, the popularity of the trading post was a genuine example that trade could be a lucrative endeavour on the southeast coast. As a result, other traders began to set up in Miami in an attempt to replicate the success of Brickell Point. Travellers likewise settled down in Miami. The economy slowly grew along with the population, and more than ever, Miami started to be recognized as a key player in the country's economy. Therefore, it is not an understatement to say that Brickell Point laid the foundation for Miami's growth in the early 20th century and beyond. However, there was still one big problem. Miami was isolated from the rest of America. You see, as much as the efforts of William and Mary Brickell had bolstered Miami's economy, it still existed in great geographical isolation from the rest of the country. There were no highways, airports, or railroad connections as there are in modern-day Miami, and as a result, its economy could only grow so far, and its population could likewise only grow at a snail's pace, and much of its manpower had to be devoted to agriculture. However, at the turn of the century, a significant opportunity presented itself. Henry Morrison Flagler, an American pioneer, had been diligently creating a railway network along Florida's east coast, connecting cities and revolutionizing public and commercial transport in startling proficiency. The Brickels saw this as an economic opportunity. By bringing a railroad to Miami, they could help to grow their hometown's economy and solidify Miami's name in the U.S. economy. More importantly, however, a railway line could finally allow the family to cash in on its expansive real estate investments that at this point hadn't been properly utilized. So, William and Mary, alongside their neighbor and fellow economic powerhouse, Julia Tuttle, reached out to Flagler with their idea in 1896, and after intense negotiations, the trio managed to secure a deal in the first half of the year. The deal was simple. In exchange for Flagler's investment, both the Brickels and Tuttle would give him a portion of their real estate holdings. Expansion began extremely quickly, with the first train arriving in Miami on the 15th of April, 1896. And though the Brickels had to give up a portion of their assets to seal the deal, the creation of Miami's railway network proved extremely lucrative for their personal wealth, as the land that they kept significantly increased in value. As the 19th century drew to a close, therefore, the Brickels were in an extremely powerful position. They stood at the height of their economic power and only had more plans for expansion. However, in 1908, tragedy struck the family as William Brickell passed away at the age of 83. For most families, this would spell disaster and the end of business development. However, Mary Brickell was just as strong as her husband and immediately took the reins of the family empire upon her husband's death. The two had plans for expansion, after all, and she could not let them die alongside her husband. So, for the next 2 decades, Mary poured everything into developing the expanse of land that William had purchased years prior. The idea was to create an area of gorgeous real estate, dubbed Brickell, to attract rich northerners and give the area an air of luxury. Development started off with luxury houses consisting of wooden frames, open porches, and picturesque views of the Miami River. Larger, more luxurious homes followed, leading Mary to dub the area Millionaire's Row. The development of Millionaire's Row was significant for a number of reasons. For one, it did the Brickell name wonders. No longer was this family associated with common trade. No, now it was a name synonymous with luxury, wealth, and affluence. The local community likewise benefited as rich northerners started to come down to use the finest homes on Millionaire's Row as a winter retreat, all the while spending their money with local merchants during their stay. So, when Mary Brickell passed away in 1922, she could do so at peace, knowing she had cemented her family's legacy for years to come. The second generation of the Brickels continued to expand and enjoyed ever-increasing financial returns until the unfortunate tsunami of America's Great Depression hit Miami's shores. Everyone was affected by this economic catastrophe, even the residents of the houses on Millionaire's Row, which forced many to resort to last-ditch methods. Notably, a number of homeowners subdivided their homes in an attempt to gain extra income, and this change set out a new landscape for Miami, marking a shift from residential to commercial real estate. The start of World War II only compounded this shift, as institutional buildings began to find their way on Brickell soil. The Brickels saw an opportunity in this change, and over the next 2 decades began to capitalize. Residential homes were rapidly replaced for retail buildings, and by the 70s, skyscrapers were being built upon Millionaire's Row. At the same time, the Brickels began to entertain the idea of building a banking center, marking another milestone in the growth of Miami's infrastructure. As the decades rolled on, the revolution from wooden housing to high-rise commercial buildings only compounded, and by 2000, The city was unrecognizable from what it was prior to World War II. No longer was Miami a mere winter getaway spot. Rather, it was a bustling economic hub bursting with hotels, restaurants, financial centers and nightlife. An urban center to live the American dream. And this development has only continued throughout the 21st century. Miami is, in 2024, recognized as an international financial hub, one of the most attractive cities in the United States and a place of undeniable affluence. The Brickell family was the catalyst that catapulted this city into the global limelight, and its contributions are embedded in the modern culture and economic landscape of Miami. However, the legacy of the Brickell family knows no temporal limits, and it will continue to shine for decades and even centuries to come. Every skyscraper constructed, every office building renovated, every meal served at every restaurant, all will continue to be influenced by this monumental family who transformed the shores of Miami from tattered rags to profound riches. And now, we'd love to see you in the comments. Are you a native of Florida? And which city in the Sunshine State would you like us to feature next on this channel? We always try to make videos based on your suggestions, so don't be shy and leave us a thought. Thanks again for joining us for another episode, and cheers until next time.